Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and we're back to doing. Well, it's not a sit and talk, is it?
No, this is a standard.
This is a
talk.
standard talk.
Yeah.
So you may have noticed of late that we kind of stopped the podcast for a while. Basically, they were killing me.
Yeah,
like dead.
Yeah, his skin was really pale. He had, like, purple under his eyes. It was horrible.
I looked a little bit more nerdly than corny.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
So I apologise because we haven't been doing the live sit and talk stuff. It was hard. Work got turbo. It was just a little bit too much. We've killed that for a little while. They'll come back. I want to come back to Twitch because I loved doing the Twitch stuff. Chris enjoyed doing the Twitch stuff. Mm-hmm. So does Alex Brom and Mikey P, obviously. So we're going to bring them back in the near future. However, not quite yet because I want to try and not die kicking out too much stuff, basically. And definitely when this stuff all goes full time, it's absolutely something that we're going to be looking to do. Winters enjoys them as well. He's looking at trying to get more on board. So what we're going to do in the near future is try and switch to some more pre-recorded stuff like this one. So it doesn't put us under pressure to be live every single week. It doesn't put me under pressure after I've done a 12-hour shift to come and then film for 2 hours. And the other thing I'm doing is you can notice is I'm using my new fancy camera to film this one. Well, I don't know if you'll notice this, but I worked out that these mics plugged into my new fancy camera. So I thought we'd do it this way for now for two reasons. First of all, I'm getting more use out of my new toy. But secondly, this is so much easier to edit. It doesn't look as nice.
Yeah.
Does it?
No, it doesn't look as nice.
So I would do before the camera switches,
and
I'm not doing that for now because this is just easier. So I can finish this video and tomorrow I can trim the start, trim the end, and upload.
And for the sake of getting what we want to say out there,
it's
the same thing. It's a lot quicker, isn't it? Yeah, it's a lot quicker.
Absolutely. And ultimately, these are sit and talk, stand and talks today because we've just done a bat report. Yeah. So I don't want to sit down because I'll probably fall asleep. So we're doing a stand and talk type thing. But it's basically we just want to chat nonsense about 40k because we miss doing that. Yeah, essentially.
That's the thing that was missing from our lives.
And what's key about that is the audio more than the visual. So I mean, I've not gelled my hair. Chris hasn't gelled his hair.
I haven't done my makeup or anything.
So we're doing a bit of 40k chat. Yeah. And today we haven't planned a topic either. I wanted to get back in the swing of things, and I wanted to go back to almost old-fashioned Warhammer videos where there wasn't really a massive sort of topic. I've got something I want to chat about, which I think will be interesting to hear your thoughts on as well. But otherwise, it's just a random topic. Now, one thing we did get recently, we started getting supported by Games Workshop, as you guys know, and we did some codex reviews of the new Space Marine codexes and supplements. And this is where I'm going to go with it. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about today. What we did get, we got both the Psychic Awakening books so far. So we got Phoenix Rising, and more recently we got this one, so Faith and Fury. I'm not talking about Faith and Fury as such in this particular sort of podcast. If you want that sort of information, you can head on over to someone like Winter's SEO. He covered the 3 different sections of this: a Chaos, Astartes, and the Black Templars as well. So he's done his 3 video reviews on YouTube. Head on over to Winter's SEO and watch those, and he gives you some more detail and reads out the stratagems. I figured since he's my business partner and my filming partner, if I did that, we'd just be doing the same thing.
Yeah. What's the point?
I'm not entirely sure that that's worthwhile. Yeah. So instead, I want to talk about what these books mean, where I think they're going, whether I think they're good or not, etc. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, this is a topic you're quite passionate about.
Exactly. So that's something else. We've had this in our DZ chat and stuff like that before. Yeah. I'm genuinely really passionate about this. Yeah. And I want to start with a bit of a prerequisite, I guess, and that is that I by no means hate Games Workshop. No. I by no means am hating on this hobby. I'm not loving 40k. Mm-hmm. But I also think, as part of this prerequisite, that people like myself and you are very lucky.
Yeah, we are very lucky. We're lucky because we can arrange games, we can play games, and we can kind of tailor our experience to how we want it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what I mean by that. Like, we don't have to rely on, for example, tournaments to get our fill of 40k.
No.
So we can play amongst a group of people that we know are in the hobby for the same reasons that we are. So they love the narrative, they love the storytelling, they like to enjoy themselves and throw dice with friends. I think a lot of people out there would prefer that to be their experience, but some of them don't get that same experience. They're not as lucky as we are to have so many people so close to be able to play with or to be able to film with like we do, for example. And they therefore rely on things like pick up games at local clubs or Games Workshops or tournaments.
And they get dragged more into the tide of how the game is changing.
Yeah, they kind of have to.
Yeah, they have to,
Because what we're seeing in 40k, and this is where this is going to jump all over the place, this podcast, I warn you now. What we're seeing in 40k is more and more sort of, I think we're finding more and more people getting into the competitive side of the game. Now, I don't think it's by any stretch of the imagination the overruling majority. I think there's still the majority are in it for the same reasons that perhaps we are. but people want to win.
Yeah. And we're getting a few years into 8th, and people are starting to get to that point where they're feeling a little bit more comfortable with it, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So want to expand that experience a little bit.
But some people will pick up some of the new marine codexes, stroke supplements, etc., and they will put together very, very strong combinations. And they might do that because they're going to go to their local gaming store and they're going to try and do a pickup game, and they don't want to get curb stomped.
No.
But what they might end up doing is facing someone who's playing, I don't know, Grey Knights.
Yeah.
And what they're going to end up doing is curb stomping them.
They've turned up for fun with some models they like, for an army they like, because it's the games club. And that stuff does happen a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, this is where I'm going with these books. So Faith and Fury came out, right? And Faith and Fury gave us Legion rules for basically all of the main legions from the Chaos book. I think the way that the whole Space Marine thing has been handled over the last 6 months has been pretty bad.
Yeah.
So the Chaos Space Marine Codex got updated to version 2 a little while ago. And it was literally version 2. So it was the same codex, the same stratagems, the same warlord traits, the same relics, the same psychic powers. They added in a few extra units and a few extra rules, and they tidied up a lot of the FAQ stuff in the codex.
And got a major points error in there, which caused a bit of a scene for a while.
Which is amazing. That's version 2 of the codex. They got that so horribly wrong. Yeah. Brilliant, well done. But I, that was amazing when it obliterated. Yeah. But although they made that cock up with obliterators, and it was quite a monumental one, I was really on board with what that codex seemed to stand for. It was
like an update, refresh.
Add in almost all of the FAQs and points changes and rules erratas, and update it all. Refresh it with a few more units. Upgrade a couple of model sets. There's your book again, and it's version 2. And we've tweaked it and tidied it up. There's version 2. And I was like, you know what? They got a lot of flack for it, but I thought fair play, because what a lot of people are whinging about is all the FAQs and rules updates and erratas. And if they're going to condense it into a new book and give you a refresh book once every 2 years, I'm kind of on board with that.
And everyone gets one in the stage. It's all the same style. Everyone gets a bundle of the rules.
Version 2, yeah.
Maybe a couple of new minis. Maybe even not. Maybe just a bundle of rules. That's kind of how the prediction went, wasn't it?
That's exactly what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do it with every codex.
Yeah.
Put my hands up and say they're going to do it with every codex.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
And considering, I don't remember if it was around the same time, just before or just after, the Vigilus campaign books came out.
Yep.
Now, I also staunchly defended the Vigilus campaign books. Winters was really against them, okay? And Winters is still pretty much really against them. He doesn't like people turning up using Vigilus and Vigilus Defiant like formations and stuff. Because in Winters' opinion, and I hate to say the fact that now I probably actually quite strongly agree with him, added a lot of bloat to the game.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I thought campaign books, they're campaigns. What I loved about these campaign books is that you could choose to use these rules or not. You don't need to have the books to run your units.
But the thing is, those books as well were, slightly jumping ahead, were also setting a precedent of what we expected to see in terms of, we're going to see all these pay a CP for special battalion rules or whatever.
Yeah.
They came with that. It felt like it was almost like a demo. It was a campaign book, but it also felt like it was a testing place for those new kinds of rules.
Yeah.
So it felt like we had a clear picture at the time when Vigilus came out, and we got the Chaos Space Marines 2, and we obviously assumed that there was going to be a Space Marine version as well, version 2. We kind of all had a clear vision of how it was going to go. Maybe this was going to be a standalone thing with some extra rules, and then we're going to get all our Codex 2.0s, and it kind of set that expectation, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought it set a precedent. I thought that this is what was coming. Now, I did, like I said to Vinters that I thought that Vinters, did you see that? That was a complete accident.
I said to Vinters.
I'm so tired. This is the thing. I told you guys. I'm so shattered. Anyway, I said to Winters that I don't see how it's that negative an impact. Yeah. And I've changed my mind. And part of the reason why I've changed my mind is the way this has now changed going forward. So then the Space Marine release came along. That wasn't a version 2. It was basically a brand new book.
That was a rewrite of Space Marines.
Absolutely.
That was the thing that people had been asking about for so long, given to them, and it was a direct punch in the face to the Chaos Codex.
Yeah.
They just come out. But
now, people out there are going to think that both Chris and I are whinging because I'm a Chaos player, you're a Chaos player. But I'm planning on building now my own Blood Angels army after Mr. Waller. I gave him his back because it was his army and I'd borrowed it for a long time. And you're planning on building Salamander's army.
You've got Salamanders again. Yeah.
And we're not doing this just as a reaction. Clearly I'm not because I'm using Blood Angels. So clearly as a reaction to the new Space Marine Codex. But that's because we're running a channel and it's good to have a lot of variety and variation. But I still think that the place we're in now is bad. And that was, I think, absolutely, that was a punch in the face. The Space Marine Codex was a complete rewrite. People said they needed it, and they did. The stratagems were terrible. I remember playing Brom a couple of times, maybe even on YouTube, and we banned command point rerolls because it was a cool thing to do for a little while, to let the dice tell the story. And he had no stratagems. He had nothing he could use with the Primaris army. And what I like about the Space Marine rewrite, the Space Marine rewrite has been really well done. So I'll go on record as saying the rewrited Codex has been really well done. It's a very good book with a lot of internal balance.
I really like it because I was obviously Space Marines are a really common faction. A lot of people play them, and I was kind of every time I went up against, especially a Primaris army, it would be like, this one's going to be all right.
Yeah,
and I knew, and I myself would say things like, I'm reading all these books, I'm reading all this fiction, all the Black Library books where Space Marines, literally two guys run through and just annihilate everything. A bunch of stuff. Why are they so below average on the table?
They were massively underwhelming unless they basically involved Gulliman.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. And this just changed that.
Absolutely.
Literally changed it completely. It was the faction may as well be new. It may as well be a new faction because the rewrite and the way everything works now it just doesn't play when you play against them. You don't feel like you're playing against what Space Marines were literally the week before.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So, like I said to you, I think the rewrite was they did an amazing job. There's lots of stratagems to use, lots of units that vie for position. Some things have got better that were terrible before. Not very much stuff to be fair, not very much stuff at all's got worse. Most of it's got better. They did a great job of the Marine rewrite. Marines feel like they're probably where they should be, and remember, we're talking from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch this video, when I probably put the title up as about 40k and balance, we're not talking from the tournament's perspective because we're not tournament goers. Yeah. I like the rules to kind of reflect the law. No, I don't want them to completely reflect the law, because if they completely reflected the law and a bloke bought 20 Space Marines, they'd win.
Yeah, it also can't, because every book that's written from the perspective of whatever faction they're going for, the main character in that's always amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what they've given Space Marines is with the ability to choose with the doctrines where they are being scary with the new AP stuff.
Yeah,
they've given them the for the first time in a long time a way to be frightening in every phase that they weren't before. Yeah. Because like in melee, chainswords, whatever, you can get loads of attacks on you, but it all fizzles out.
So we did ask the question originally when they first brought out not Hateful Assault, Shock Assault, whether the GW were trying to improve melee armies, and I thought that might be the direction they're going. But then they brought out the combat doctrines with Devastate Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, and Assault Doctrine. Yeah, no, I don't think that was a massive swing to try and improve melee armies. I actually think that was just a swing to try and improve Astartes units, because obviously Heretic Astartes gain Hateful Assault, so essentially the same as Shock Assault, but the Chaos version.
I'm not whinging about that at all either.
Marines
that
have
really good.
Marines have Bolt Discipline, and the Chaos version, which is in Faith and Fury, is called something different, but they basically have Bolt Discipline. So again, they've added these extra rules to try and make Marines better, but they've gone that little bit further with Space Marines, and they haven't done it with Chaos, and I don't seem to fully understand why. So they've re-released the whole Space Marine book. That's fine. Malicious Volleys, that's what the Chaos version is called. They re-released the Space Marine book, that's fine. I don't understand why they didn't do that for Chaos in the first place.
Yep.
They had an opportunity to do the exact same job, so rewrite stratagems, rewrite some of the warlord traits, and tinker with some of the rules that already exist in the book. Why did Chaos get a version 2 and Space Marines get a complete new book? That doesn't make sense.
We've discussed it in the past before that 40k, I mean, whether you like it or not, the Horus Heresy side of things is massive.
Yeah.
And the lore side of it is massive. And it does put Astartes and Heretic Astartes at the centre of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you'd think that Games Workshop would realise that needs to be a more central focus, and they need to be two powerhouses basically, so that you can have that kind of thing going on.
Controversially, I think narratively speaking, Chaos should be more feared than regular Astartes.
Yes,
because they are regular Astartes that are then powered up by the Chaos Gods.
Says the two Chaos dudes. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. That aside,
from a complete narrative standpoint.
Narrative standpoint, they should be a terrifying. They need to be. They're going to set the galaxy ablaze. You know, they need to be feared in the same way that the Astartes, the loyalist Astartes, are feared as fighting machines. These need to be feared as dabblers in the war. And
I'd be quite happy if I felt that the balance of power from the two codexes was similar. There's a lot of talk out there actually that asks for Games Workshop to balance 40k. Two things. Firstly, I think that's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a semblance of balance so that everyone feels like they have a chance. But it's the reason why I think it's a bad idea is because of point 2. It's impossible.
Yeah. And it would make everything flavourless, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, just nothing. And
I think you can bring the difference between an army that's this power and an army this power. I think you can bring it down to sort of there.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'll ever get it exactly balanced.
It would be nice to not have certain lists automatically beat another list.
Yeah.
From the paper side, which doesn't happen so often in Age of Sigmar.
No. This is the other thing, right? The tangent time. We're back to being Warhammer. This is the other thing, right? Age of Sigmar, battle times. Now, there's a gaming system where they've got it so right.
Yes.
Now, I have some battle times just because we're looking at dabbling in AOS in the future, right? So, for example, I've got the Gloomspite Gits battle time, and I've also got another one. I think it's the Ideneth Deepkin. Both of them are very similar books. If you haven't got battle times, if you're watching this, you're probably a 40k fan. If you haven't seen a battle time, even if you get the opportunity at Games Workshop to pick up and have a flick through in your local store, have a look. It's interesting. There's one thing that they can't do, I think, in 40k that they do in Age of Sigmar. So, for example, in AOS, a unit of 10 dudes cost X, and if you add another 10, it costs the same again. And if you add another 10, it costs the same again. And sometimes, if you've got a full unit of 30, you get a slight discount.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. There's no points for individual weapons. Nothing. The unit costs.
You buy a unit in the fixed number and off you go.
You have half a page normally of unit costs, and that's your points for the whole. Really simple, really, really simple. The other points costs are to do with essentially formations. So instead of costing a command point, which is nonsense, I much prefer having to pay points for a formation.
Yeah.
That's what they do in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Then when you open the battle times, I'm going to go a little bit deeper than just rules here. You open a battle time, you get unit entries, you get warlord traits and relics, and you normally get warlord traits and relics for all the different sub-factions within that faction. You also get formations, you get painting tutorials, you get battle plans as to how to play the art. It's full of stuff.
They're all laid out very similar, and they are just a complete book right there. You don't really have to worry too much. Battle Tomes have actually gone through a bit of an apotheosis to get to where they are now.
Oh, really?
Because you've
played AOS for quite a while, right?
Yeah. So while AOS was still finding out what it was, and before it had, believe it or not, at one point it didn't have points.
No, I know that. Yeah, there was an outcry about it.
Yeah. Which
people were facing off by using like wounds and stuff.
It got silly because they expected gamers to kind of work out between themselves, but we're built into us to be more competitive than that, and to be like, But basically, what they did, which is something we don't see in 40k, is that they started a new style of battle tome. The new style of battle tome was you're going to have formations, you're going to have these special rules. It's going to be a bit like Legion traits or something. Okay. So every faction's going to get like you choose which kind.
So I thought I'd kill the video for a minute because Chris was boring us with Age of Sigmar. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. No, absolutely not. We'll just cut that bit out and put some lift music in because that was what I was listening to. I mean, we are looking at giving it a go in the future, but for now, we're trying to focus on 40k. what I was basically trying to get at was that Battle Tomes seem to be a more complete book than Codexes at the moment, and it's weird because it comes from the same company.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like they've shown that they can. So I originally theorised that Age of Sigmar, when they did Age of Sigmar, was a testbed for 40k.
So everyone thought.
And I think the Battle Tomes were a really great idea, and yet we don't see it translated. And I've never spoken to anyone who's looked through a Battle Tome and not gone, well, that's quite good. They've got painting tutorials, and no one has gone, well, this is nonsense. It's full of crap. So I don't know why that's not transposed across. The reason why I'm sort of going into this is because Vigilus and Vigilus. So say you're a Space Marine player right now, okay? And this is basically the whole point in this particular podcast. You're a Space Marine player right now, and you want to play. Let me think. It doesn't really matter. Pick any. Okay, you want to play Imperial Fists, right? For argument's sake, Imperial Fists are the new hotness. Okay, so you need the Space Marine Codex.
Yep.
Right. You then need the Space Marine Codex FAQ because that's already out. Because 2 weeks after the book's launched, this is something else that really pisses me off. How can you, as a I think they're probably multi-million-pound company now. They're doing very well in terms of shares, etc. How can you send a book to print and then within 2 weeks be correcting mistakes in it? That's lazy editing.
Standard.
It's lazy editing, right? That's bad. So you have a book, you then have an FAQ that's come out 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, that's how many corrections are needed. Every single book, 2 weeks later, is an FAQ. Now, I'm not criticising Games Workshop for updating their rules, because in 7th they didn't do it at all, and that was terrible. And it's a much better place that they are actively engaging with their audience and their customer, and they are updating their rules. So kudos for that. But get it right in the first place. If it's an FAQ that they think, actually, we thought that was worded really clearly, and it's taken out of context, so it's not quite right. Okay, I get that. That's fine. Yep, I understand that. It's a clarification. But when it's the points of obliterators, come on, that's bad. That shouldn't happen. So you've got your 2-week-old FAQ.
We're also getting nerfs in those as well, though. We're getting things slightly adjusted or nerfed, like with
which
the salamanders
in the most play-tested rule set ever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You've just bought your new book. You've just figured out your new army and ordered the models for it. And within 2 weeks, maybe a whole tactic that you'd built your army around is already changing. And
you might have spent hundreds of pounds on models.
Yeah,
and people out there are going to say, well, don't chase the meta. You have to realise that some of these people won't be going on the internet and looking at net lists, and they won't be chasing meta to go to the latest competition and smash face. They'll simply read their book and go, oh, I think that's a really good combination. Yeah. I'm going to buy a load of stuff. And they'll go and buy the new Iron Father, and they'll go and buy a bunch of tanks and stuff because they've come up with this idea. And they might have actually, to be fair, come up with the idea themselves. They don't necessarily have to have pulled it off of the latest Battle Report channel.
If you sit through and you read through all the synergies, it's not that difficult to come up with a lot of the good stuff.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So they've got this 2-week-old FAQ that might also have just nerfed their £200-300 they might have spent in Games Workshop. Then they've got so that's 2 documents, okay? Then they've got to have their supplement, the Imperial Fist supplement. They don't have. This is the thing. They don't have to have it. I'm going to go on to that in a minute. So they have their Imperial Fist supplement.
If they want all those cool extra little bits.
So then they have their 2-week-old Imperial Fist supplement FAQ. So now we've got 4 documents just to play the chapter alone. Now they might want to use the Imperial Fist formations, which means they need Vigilus Defiant. That's the one. Yeah. So that's 5 documents. I'm pretty sure Vigilus Defiant's probably got an FAQ. 6 documents. Right.
Yep.
Then they want to play one of the latest missions. So they need to have their rulebook, 7, and they need to have chapter approved, 8. Rulebook and chapter approved have also got their own FAQs and erratas, 10.
Yep.
We're talking now 10 documents. Actually, no, I lie. They want the latest litany from their chaplain.
Oh yeah, the litany.
They've got to have faith and fury.
Yeah.
11 documents to be able to run the Imperial Fists list that has all the stratagems, toys, formations, and units available to them. 11 documents.
Yeah. And if you're taking this to
one faction,
event, you're going to have to actually bring all those.
One faction.
Yeah.
11 documents. Yeah. One faction. You play an event that allows you to soup. Now, I also want to say categorically that I'm not 100% against soup because soup's narrative.
Yeah.
Soup exists in the law. I think there's a way in which it can be enforced and a way in which it can be managed, and I think Games Workshop's rules are really bad at doing that. And that, again, is something Age of Sigmar do really, really well.
They do.
If you stick to one particular faction, you gain bonuses. If you have multiple factions but from the same overruling faction, so you have say we're talking 40k rules, you've got just Space Marines, you get loads of bonuses for being just Space Marines, which I think they're kind of alluding to with combat doctrines.
Yep.
But then if you have Imperium, you lose those extra rules. That's what Age of Sigmar do really, really well. So if you're Order or Chaos, you might lose some of the more faction-specific stuff, but you gain other bonuses.
Yeah.
And that's how they balance that out. And there's also percentages, right, for allies.
There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, you're allowed to
really,
do so,
really well done in souping in AOS, again, in my opinion. So if you've got Imperial Fists and you want to ally in, I don't know, Knights or Assassins or something, more documents. 11 documents to play one faction it's ridiculous.
It's getting silly, yeah.
It's not. See, this is the thing. A lot of people said to me, "It's getting silly." I think at the
it's
point,
already silly.
I think at the point where you're talking 11 documents to play with one army, I think that is ridiculous.
It's silly.
And I honestly think we've spoke about this a few times on podcasts before. Now has to be the time when they have to take a long, hard look at what they're kicking out and go, "We need a different approach to printed text."
Yeah. Yeah, we've thrown a few ideas around before, haven't we?
I don't know exactly how I would solve it,
Yeah.
but I think they need a different approach to printed text. Games Workshop their business, if you look at their stocks and shares, is performing amazingly.
They're doing really well.
If it's going to continue to grow at this rate, they need to keep up with modern day.
Yeah.
And these, I am a massive hardback book fan.
Yep.
I love having books and being able to read them. But if you're going to continue to get them so wrong that every single one needs an FAQ, you need to think about the fact that these might not be the future. I'm not saying stop producing them, because I will probably still get my hands on them.
I would have taken one of these a year. That's an event book.
Yes, okay.
That's double the size and has everything. Okay, you could even do two, and you could split them. But one is sort of Imperium, and one of them is Chaos and Xenos, right? So that you buy the one that you're roughly part of. But that's it. If it was all, these would be much more worth it in terms of getting people on board with them if they were an event that came up.
Well, this is the other thing, Chris, to be fair, right, with these. So, I mean, this is another thing that really wound me up. So for someone who thought they were doing so well with the Marine release because it was so good, I was a little bit annoyed because it was better than the Chaos one. But that's just the Chaos player me going, oh, screw you, Imperium. But they did do a good job of the book.
Yeah.
But then the supplements came, and I was like, okay, well, this is a bonus because I might get a World Eater supplement. No, I get 6 pages in one book.
This confirms, because I know there's a lot of people that were holding on to that. This confirms we're not getting Chaos supplements.
I don't think so. And then one of the reasons why I wanted a World Eater supplement is because I wanted 6,000 rules. But what do the supplements give us more of than anything else? Lore and narrative.
Beautiful lore.
I don't get any of that in this, really. I get 6-7 pages of World Eater stuff, and 2 of the pages in total are how to name them, if you're that way inclined. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I get Warlord traits, stratagems, and I get 1 page of stratagems. Not like Space Marines, who have 4 pages in their main codex and another 2 pages in the supplement. I get 3 pages in the Chaos book and 1 page in my supplement. So in total, I get 4 pages of stratagems, whilst they get 6.
We did warn at the start of this that Liam gets very passionate about.
Really passionate. Yeah. I get 1 page of Warlord traits, so that's fine. The Warlord traits are good. The artifact, and I've said this when we were filming with this book today. The stratagems and stuff is good. These are good things.
That's great, but why wasn't that in CSM 2.0?
Well,
that's what I mean. Why are these rules not just in CSM 2.0 and they had an expanded thing for each of the major legions?
Do we know how much this book is to buy? 25 quid?
Whatever it is.
25 English pounds? Maybe? Again, so Black Templars are in this book, right? Mm-hmm. So every other chapter that's a major chapter currently, and I grant they're all first founding, they all got massive supplements full of lore and loads of rules. And Templars were just sort of crammed randomly in a book, roughly, right? And then the other thing that gets me, they've also, this is the bit that I suppose really grinds my gears the most. There's a Family Guy reference. You know what grinds my gears? I love that show. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages in Faith and Fury of additional Space Marine rules that aren't Black Templars. Now, for example, there is 1 page, this page here, chapter litanies, okay? So this is for chaplains, because the book's Faith and Fury, I get that. And in this book, you have a litany for each of the 6 chapters they've literally just finished releasing all their supplements.
Yep.
So within the last 6 to 8 weeks, they've released 6 supplements. They've released all 6 of the major chapters that exist in the Space Marines book. And they've now all got litany. So if you want to play your chosen chapter, and out of this book you want nothing but the litany, you've got to buy this whole book for essentially one paragraph of rules.
Yeah.
Now why the hell was the Space Marines Ultramarines litany not in the Ultramarine supplement? Is there any reason apart from we want to sell more books?
But we know that's the reason why it is.
But that's not how you keep customers.
Yeah, but I think it's going to start to grate on people very quickly. I'd really like to get just a general consensus on how people feel about this. Because
please tell us.
A lot of this is just our little.
But this is what I'm saying. So, and this is why I've built to this point with what we've started the podcast with, because I praised Chaos Space Marine Codex 2.0 and said this is a good idea of amalgamating. You've got a couple of bits wrong, but it's a good idea. The idea is good. I then praised Vigilus and said I like the formation books. I like the fact that it adds something that you can use if you want to, but you don't have to. And I was defending them. I then praised the Space Marine book, even though it pissed me off as a Chaos player, because they did such a good job of rebuilding and redoing Space Marines.
Everyone had been asking for it. Really.
Absolutely. So I praise, and then it gets to a point where I'm like, now you're starting to kick us in the nuts.
Yeah. Because there's no other way of putting it, but
I'm well aware, by the way, that Games Workshop might watch this and I might be in trouble.
No, it's just two guys who love a bit of chaos getting a bit upset, that's all. But
pretty much.
I'm acutely aware that these rules and what they've done with Space Marines has just devalued everything new that came out for Chaos in that sense. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree, and we've already had some perspectives saying, well, Chaos Space Marines have got access to different stuff and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But with this, when you're comparing we saw that price comparison in points, didn't we, of an Imperial Fist Tactical Marine and a Chaos Space Marine from Iron Warriors.
Like meme thing going around, right?
Yeah. And it basically, for a point more, you just get strictly less of everything.
Yeah.
In what I was trying to say earlier about Age of Sigmar is that when they changed...
the lift music's coming again.
When they changed the Battletome format, they did it for everybody.
Yeah.
So each new book that came out carried all the new types of rules they were doing. So they had consistency. And it was continuity between... So every new book that came out followed the same new rules, new formats. We want that in 40k.
So there's two words you just nailed. Straight away, you just nailed two major words for what I think is going wrong with 40k. Continuity and consistency.
Yeah.
Massively. Now, like I say, but when we talk about balancing 40k, I don't think it's possible. And you have to remember that when 40k first launched, 8th edition, first launched, there was a number of things that were basically the exact same in each book.
Yeah.
But called something different. And people complained. My faction it doesn't have its own identity because I've just got the Elatok trait copied over.
It's
I've
a
just got
of rules.
Yeah, absolutely. So and people complained about it, and I think they've reacted and responded, and they've come away from that, and they've added more flavour to each individual sub-faction or chapter or whatever you want to call them.
Which comes within the imbalance we were talking about earlier. You're always going to have imbalance when you are
Second
trying
you
to
do
make
that,
things...
absolutely. You're going to have... It's going to exist.
You either reskin everything so it's roughly the same, or you allow some things to focus on certain areas, and people are going to be able to exploit other armies with that, and they won't be balanced, but it will be fine.
And some codexes have 50 plus units, and they have 6 different chapters that they can run those 50 plus units as, and they have all these different warlord traits, relics, stratagems, psychic powers. One of the reasons why chess is a competitive game is because it's insanely simple. So it's easy to balance.
Both people have the same rules.
They have the same rules,
exactly.
same units essentially, same rules. There's one advantage in chess, one person goes first.
Yeah.
That's the advantage.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. That's why chess is a competitive game. This is why I think, I'll go on record of saying this, I enjoy going to events and I want to call them events rather than tournaments because I don't go to win a tournament. I'd like to win. Everybody likes to win, but so the best way for me to put it is I won't compromise my opponent's enjoyment just to win. Okay, which some people do, and that's entirely up to you, and that's your 40k. Go and play it and enjoy it. That's not me. I won't compromise my opponent's enjoyment just to win. So I enjoy events. I don't dislike them. I've been to events that are a lot more restrictive in order to try and calm it down a bit, and I enjoy them a little bit more. But I don't think this game is ever going to be suited to fully competitive and tournament type play. And I think the sooner we realise that, the sooner the hobby goes, this isn't what this game's about.
the thing
the
is,
better place it will be in.
I'm not sure how competitive anything can be that uses dice as a mechanic. I don't think.
I agree absolutely.
How on earth can anything? There's no skill involved with the dice roll, right? That the dice rolling is not the skill. The skill is in your list composition and your placement of things and your manipulating of the odds to your advantage.
Yep, absolutely.
But because there's nothing else, there's no way that you can use your training, and you can't make yourself better at rolling the right number.
No,
it can never.
You
be
can
truly
just stack the odds more
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
favour, and that's the other thing. Some codexes, i.e., New Marines, are better at stacking those odds in your favour.
Stacking to the point that one of the things that really I found quite difficult about playing against Space Marines, and that as much as I am so happy that Space Marines have been given their status or not, fighting things that hit on 2s, reroll 1s, and then wound on 2s, reroll 1s, or
we're going to go there. Whole tangents now.
Yeah, it takes the entire dice rolling aspect of the game out, because the odds of failing that then become ridiculous.
Rerolls. There's too many of them.
There's too many. Yeah, you know what? I'd even at this point just take CP rerolls as your only rerolls.
They did a nerf thing in to the Iron Hands with regards to a rule. I can't remember what the rule was. It might have been the one that reduces damage, the relic that reduces damage or something. And what they changed it to was that the relic carrier basically had to select a unit within a certain range, and only that one benefited from.
They had a lot of very good rules.
Now I think this is going to improve 40k massively. It's a theory, but I might be wrong. So take captain rerolls of 1.
Mm-hmm.
What if that changed to the captain selects a unit within 6 inches, that unit can reroll 1s? Or a lieutenant selects a unit within 6 inches, they can reroll to wound rolls.
To stop it just being a big mash.
To get rid of this car park mess that exists.
Yeah. And
to
trying
start
to get
having
everyone
people
in
spread out across the table,
yeah.
and there being action all over the place.
Yeah.
And stop this stupid half an inch here and half an inch there and half an inch there, so all 4 of my units... Because it's boring as well.
And they've already one of the things I really like flavour-wise about the infiltrators, new infiltrators, they've got that the Vox, whatever it's called. It's like a Vox unit that lets them receive the captain's bonuses.
They get the benefit of Phobos captains and lieutenants if they're on the field.
You could use that. How about have that a bit more? Like you said, you pick one unit while this unit is present on the battlefield. You can pick another unit that can reroll 1s and let the only thing that'll do is it will encourage you to hide your HQs really out of the way.
And that's what I'm saying.
Or
if you had
unit or something.
If you had it, the captain's 6-inch aura wasn't an aura at all. It was pick a unit within 6 inches. That unit can reroll 1s. What you start to do is you start to really ramp down this. It's basically impossible to fail my rolls. Sort thing that exists. I think it's a really, honestly, and I'm going to say it because it's my idea, I think it's a really elegant fix to some of what is really causing us problems in 40k. Because at the moment you will see, I mean, with all due and total respect, you did it today with Iron Warriors. You had a Warpsmith and a Chaos Lord, and you surrounded it with 4 tanks.
I had to, because I was trying to make use of a new
6-inch
buff. And
absolutely,
it was silly,
absolutely, which I understand.
Yeah,
because
but it totally decided the outcome of the deployment and how the battle flowed from there, because everything was stuck there trying to stay like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you
everything.
have this really tough choice: do I move off from this aura, and that's what I'm saying. Pick one unit within 6 inches of your captain, or 6 inches of your Chaos Lord, or 6 inches of your Autarch, or whatever it might be. That unit gets the aura only.
Yeah.
And I only came up with this as a solution because they nerfed that Ironstone, I think it was, which was everything within 3 inches, reduce damage, incoming damage by 1.
Yeah.
They nerfed that to pick a unit within 3 inches and you reduce damage by 1. And it instantly fixed what was a turbo broken rule, I think. And I think if you do that for auras, I mean that should have never been nerfed that way. But that codex, they should have realised before they even released it that was ridiculous. Yeah. How they didn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
Every single, I mean, some of us get things wrong. I sat with Brom and read the Imperial Fist Codex and said it was crap, and I genuinely thought it was crap. And I do think it's crap in terms of variety and flavour.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's not crap in terms of competitiveness, and that just goes to show how uncompetitive I am as a player.
And Imperial Fists are really bad.
because you're an Iron Warriors player, right?
Yeah.
But that just goes to prove how much I don't know about competitive play, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was terrible. A few people told me I was wrong. I spoke to Pardo, who's a Crimson Fist player. He thought it was terrible.
Yep.
And actually, they turned up and started wiping the tournament scene. I hold my hands up. I was wrong on that one. But I still think that they're terrible to a point because I don't think they encourage variety and sort of flavour in the list.
No.
They're sort of smash as many shots in as you can, and that's it. That's your list done. So I don't really like that personally, but they are proving strong. Why are they proving strong? Because it's stick as many shots in as you can with all these rerolls and buffs and exploding dice.
Yeah.
It's not because it's interesting play. It's stacking the odds in your favour.
Stack it, yeah.
It's weight of dice, it's numbers, it's aura rerolls, and that's your game.
Because it's essentially it's a maths problem, isn't it?
Now we've all played against that player. Every single one of us, I think, at some point has played against that player who picks up 20 dice. I mean, I'm going to name names and be horrible. Brom used to do it with Ultramarines if he took this stuff to a tournament. When you used to have a Leviathan stood next to Gullyman and you have 20 shots, I'm hitting on 2s and I'm rerolling 1s, and then I pick up my dice and I'm running on 3s and I'm rerolling all failed to win, and it's like, gee,
it's almost unrealistic that you can survive it. Like when you see it, it's almost like, well, why are we even having this encounter? What is this? There's no cinematic side to it. It's literally the odds of you surviving it, the odds of them failing, are so ridiculously low.
People have criticised me when I've come up with this as a problem because I run Wild Eaters Corn Berserkers backed up by Dark Apostle and an Exotic Champion, who give the same buff, reroll hits, reroll wounds.
But the vehicle it's on is different.
I think it's a distinct difference because I think there is a distinct difference because I have to get there.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking 10 Corn Berserkers, by the time I hit combat, normally I'm hitting with 4.
Yeah.
5 maybe if I'm lucky.
That's what I meant.
Sometimes a few more.
The vehicle for that rule, what's receiving that is the all important thing. It's like, hey, how about put a load of buffs on. Harlequins do a good job of it, actually. Harlequins can get all those crazy buffs and stuff going. You can have like a great Harlequin and you can get your solitaire up there. It's delivered on a toughness 3 50-50 chance I'm going to die model most of the time. Yeah. And if it gets there, outrageous.
It's also not cheap in points as well.
Not cheap in points. It doesn't just reach out 24, 36, 48 inches and touch anything anywhere on the board and just auto destroy it. That's at that point it's not even a game. It's just point and it's pick something and destroy it. And both people, maybe the person who's able to do that will enjoy it because they get to experience a level of power. But playing against that is just...
I've said that
it's just pointless. You don't get any satisfaction.
I made a statement in our group chat. I think it was last night, and I'm genuinely not trying to upset or dig at competitive players when I say this. I think there's a distinct difference between narrative players and highly competitive players. Mm-hmm. I think narrative players play to enjoy it themselves and to ensure their opponents enjoy themselves. And I think competitive players play to enjoy it themselves.
Yes.
Done.
Yeah.
So they don't have that second prerequisite. So basically, the way that they enjoy themselves is by winning.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
fine. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. What you want to do.
Nothing at all. But that's it. That's paramount. Winning's paramount, and that's how they enjoy themselves. And the problem is the tournament. I don't want to offend people. Okay. Let's put a
disclaimer on the screen now. This is purely from the perspective of narrative guys. So.
Encourages a type of play that unfortunately seems to bleed into other areas of the hobby. And what you will find is a player who might not be a regular tournament goer will see things that are going on at places like the LVO, at the GTs, at the heats, etc. that exist. And a lot of this information is available because you can use things like the BCP app and stuff. And they'll watch battle reports from channels that do competitive stuff. And they'll go, ooh, well, that's a good combo. I like that. And they'll start to put these combos together because they are exceptionally powerful. And I will also say that I think a lot of the super strong combos don't even necessarily require a highly tactical or skilled player.
No.
Because the odds are just so in your favour that it's going to work. And they'll put these combinations together and then they'll trundle down to the local games workshop on a Thursday night when they're open till 10 o'clock for gaming. And they'll have a pickup game against some young lad who's just put together a list of stuff that he likes because he likes it and there's not really made useful synergies. And a lot of people will go, well, that's his fault. Is it though? He just wants to enjoy himself.
No, because there's so many facets to the hobby that it's impossible to have that, to be like that, because some people will really enjoy the sculpts and the lore, for example, and you want to play the game, but you're all about, I've read in the book, I really like these particular soldiers, these particular troops or whatever, I'm going to take that. Oh, and these models look amazing, I want to take that. If the game is not set up to accommodate selling the miniatures that it's creating, because they don't have any value or they're not good enough, then there's a problem, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the point in releasing models that people go, garbage, can't use it?
Yeah.
Can't use it because of the current meta or whatever.
Yeah.
To get the game into that state where you can't pick models you enjoy to a certain... No, I'm not talking about haphazardly. I'm talking about if you go through a list and you're like, right, I prefer infiltrators over intercessors, for example.
Okay.
And you go, I'm going to take 3 units of those new ones with the visors because they're really cool. But then it turns out that they're just so overcosted and so useless that your list is just redundant. It can't
absolutely
do anything. And then you've got a state that you're in.
There's other things I think that could be done as well. So there's what's mildly frustrating, I guess, about a lot of this stuff is this isn't necessarily fresh ideas from me. So to pick a unit and only that unit gets the buff, GW did that with a nerf to a relic, so they've proven that that's come from. I've taken that from them. The next thing I think they could do comes from the Apocalypse rules.
Or with the simultaneous.
So one of the biggest issues I think currently with 40k and 8th edition, and even actually, to be fair, I've even experienced this in 2 narrative players with balanced armies who have sort of, and we do a lot of tailoring lists. Okay, often when someone comes to film, I say, "What are you bringing?" And that's because I don't want to be able to... It's not because I want to be able to put a list together that will instantly smash them to pieces. It's because I want to go, right, okay, I need to put... I want to put that to one side because that's going to be too strong for what he's bringing. And I want to try and balance it as best I can. Now, I've got limited ability to do that. I've got some stuff I can chop in and change out to try and balance it. But ultimately, if the game's more balanced at the start from the lists, it's probably going to last more than 3 turns and we're both going to enjoy ourselves a bit more. And ultimately... ultimately the viewers should enjoy it a little bit more as well because it's a bit more back and forth and twists and turns and stuff. And that's we also, when we do battle reports on here on Undeployment Zone, we want them to enjoy themselves and feel like they probably could be there hanging out with us throwing dice. One of the things they did in Apocalypse, and one of the because of one of the things that ruins 40k. So have you played games in 8th edition so far where you've started against an opponent and by the end of their first turn, and they've gone first, you've basically picked up a third to half your army? and packed it away.
Yeah, and all your favourite stuff, all the stuff you're looking forward to using.
At which point,
has been picked out. Yeah.
You're already fighting a losing battle.
Yep.
And you go, well, what was the point in us bringing the same level of points? There was no point to this at all. And they kind of recognised this. They must have recognised it because they brought out prepared positions for 2 CPs. Mm-hmm. They brought out prepared positions. So if you don't get first turn, we know how hard the opponent's first turn shooting phase can be. If you're against one of those armies, here's 2 command points for prepared positions. Now, I used prepared positions at a tournament, actually, where I took 1,700 and 1,800 points of Necrons against Imperial Guard. And I got annihilated, even with prepared positions on. The weight of fire they kicked. The guy I played, Jim, legend, lovely bloke, played him twice, thoroughly enjoyed myself both times. So it's not that he's a bad dude. Guard have got so much firepower. Prepared positions didn't do anything for me apart from cost me 2 CPs.
And it's a weighted dice edition as well.
That's all it did. Why couldn't they go, you know what, actually, markers, perhaps. Everything that dies in your first turn, you marker it, or any turn for that matter, you marker it. Mm-hmm. And then once you've had your same corresponding turn, so you have turn 1 and you kill a third of my stuff. Yep. And a third of that stuff gets marked or however I want to decide that I remember that it's been killed. Okay. And then I get my first turn and I can retaliate with that unit. Mm-hmm. And then once I've done the retaliation and it's finished its actions, it gets removed from the board.
Which represents a combat situation.
Yeah.
Where everyone's
now, it would need slight more refinement than that. And they noticed it was required in Apocalypse. Apocalypse becomes much bigger than 2,000 points, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 points. If you can imagine 7,000 points of army opening up in the first turn where an edition like this exists, the opponents are going to be picking models up and then they're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to lose.
Oh, yeah. It was designed to stop that exact scenario definitely happening in every single game.
Bring it into 40k.
It would have been outrageous.
Drop down some of these auras.
Yep.
So get rid of some of these aura buffs that exist. Bring in the fact that units can still act even if they've been killed in their corresponding turn. And I think those two subtle changes alone, bringing down auras saves a little bit of time, allowing other units to fight does increase the time slightly, but I mean, why shouldn't you? If you've bought your 300-point Leviathan, you spent hours and hours and hours converting and painting, or you've bought your Gulliman, that's your pride and joy, and I mean, it's a less likely with Gulliman, but you see what I'm saying. Why shouldn't you be able to at least use him for a turn if you've bought that?
Yeah. But then, I mean, that it opens up a whole corridor of pain from there, because then you're not being like, I use firepower to weaken something that's definitely going to kill me. So I know when you bring something, for example, that just does straight up mortal wounds, it's like, okay, I can't afford to have those mortal wounds on me. I can't afford to do it, so I'm going to focus everything on it and kill it. But you've got no way of mitigating things that are definitely going to destroy your thing that you need.
Yeah, but neither's your opponent.
That's true, but it depends what kind of army you've taken, right?
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're okay. What he's talking about is decimators. I used decimators in the last game, right? Which you roll to hit and they cause mortal wounds. And I get what you're saying. You're going, they have to die. They're going to cause me too much pain. They're going to do too much damage. They have to die.
Yeah.
And if I get first turn and I get to shoot at you first, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
So first turn becomes
there's no
too
save,
important.
there's nothing, yeah.
So at least, say you're bringing a unit and you're looking at my decimators and you're saying they have to die because they're too strong. Say I then get first turn and my decimators open up and kill. I go, that unit is the biggest threat to my decimators.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open up and shoot at that unit and kill them.
But I still get to shoot them back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
So, and that's where the balance then exists, okay?
9th edition, there we go. 9th edition.
We're inventing it on the fly right now.
Simultaneous turns.
This was only going to try and be a quick chat to get back into podcasting. Yeah. It's ended up being quite a long one.
And there's no listen. We're not angry at this. It's just kind of seeing.
I'm a little bit angry.
We're not angry at this.
I'm a little bit angry.
We're not angry at this.
I'm a little bit angry.
We're not angry at this, apart from Liam. Out of the two of us, 50% of us is not angry.
I look really angry, didn't I?
Yeah, it's like because 8th edition has been such a great edition so far, in terms of getting everyone back into it, getting everyone excited for Warhammer 40,000 again. Please,
did you play 7th?
Don't ruin it. No, I played 6th was the last edition. I skipped 7th, and
did you?
I'm glad I did, because I've only ever heard
bold statement, genuinely bold statement. We are moving closer and closer towards 7th edition. With every single silly supplement that comes on, extra rules, extra formations, extra this, we are moving closer and closer and closer to 7th. And to the point now where, like I say, Imperial Fist players will need somewhere in the region of sort of like 7 to 11 documents just to run their army. And they've got rules that I probably won't understand and formations that I won't know about and things. A new player at the start of 8th edition, a new player could pick up an index and a rule book. And play
straight away, yeah.
A new player has been reading the Horus Heresy and then carried on reading 40k novels and goes, I want to play Imperial Fists. Holy shit, he's going to get lost fast.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Yeah.
And I know some people, a lot of people that I've spoke to that have found the love again with 40k have come back to 8th edition for a number of reasons. And one of those reasons is the rule set's the simplest that they've experienced a long time. 7th was broken and it wasn't working for them. We're going back there.
Yeah.
And if a new player now, the rate of, in my opinion, and we get to sort of canvass the sort of community quite a lot in our positions. We're very lucky. In my opinion, the rate of players coming back to 40k has slowed right down. And I think part of the reason for it is because it's becoming more and more and more complex.
Yeah.
And I am in a very, very lucky position that I've played all through 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I can keep up with the books. I mean, part of the reason is because Games Workshop send them to me. I'm very lucky because I sure as hell in the past wouldn't be able to afford all of these books all the time. So I'm very, very lucky in that respect. And I can just about keep up with them. Just about. And I have, we run Deployment Zone. Like, I have a job essentially that includes running a 40k channel.
Yeah.
And I just keep up with it all. And I dedicate a lot of time to 40k. A lot of other new players who have full-time jobs and families, and it's going to be so hard to just work out where the hell you are when you go, I want to play Imperial Fist. What do I need to run the type of list I want? You're going to get lost. It's horrible, and to some extent, it's worse than 7th. To some extent, I'm not saying it's as bad as yet. On the whole, I like things like all the customization for custom Eldar craft worlds and custom chapter tactics. I like that stuff. It makes me a little bit sad though, actually.
Yeah.
You know, genuinely,
You got
it makes me a little bit. No, honestly, I'm a narrative junkie.
Yep.
We're all the guys at Deployment Zone are narrative junkies.
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
I love narrative, and I have nothing, absolutely nothing at all against people creating their own custom chapters and stuff, right? Now, historically, people would create their own custom chapters just because they wanted to.
Yeah.
They wanted to create their own lore and their own narrative.
Yeah.
And people that liked Blood Angels, or people that liked Ultramarines, or people that liked Ulthway, or people that liked Eandon would paint them because they'd read the books and they liked the lore.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
No other reason. Because they use the same rule sets as
Yep.
Ulthway, and they use the same rule sets as Eandon, and the same rule sets as Imhan, if you're Eldar, for example.
It was just your colour choice, wasn't it?
Now, if you paint a Space Marine chapter, you're taking an absolute gamble that when their next set of rules are released, they're going to still be good.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people are doing is going, I could paint an awesome looking Salamanders army. I could paint an incredible looking Simhan army. But the next time that codex drops, Simhan might be the worst craft world in the book.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm then going to not really enjoy playing this list. So what I'm going to do instead is create a custom craft world or a custom chapter. Not because I really want to build my own chapter,
But I need to get around the rules.
because I want to pick and choose my rules in the future.
And why are we seeing this lack of consistency whereby it does always seem like there's a couple of like Legion chapter craft world traits are always far superior to a couple of other ones. There's always a couple of just bizarrely underpowered compared to something else.
Again, this is where I think they actually did a very good job of the Marine book, in seriousness.
Bringing it back up to how it should be.
So
right?
the Marine book, and when you add the supplements, I mean, there's a clear couple of, now, after the Fallout, there was a clear couple of major winners.
Yeah.
Arguably Imperial Fists and Iron Hands. However, are you at a huge disadvantage if you're playing Raven Guard or White Scars or Ultramarines? No, you're not. No, they're still really strong. So the balance in the Marine Codex in that regard, and I agree with what you were saying about previous codexes, they've already done, the balance of the Marine Codex across the 6 chapters is the best I think they may have done so far.
Yeah.
With Eldar, you look at it and you go, probably going to pick a Latok, maybe Ulthway. That's the best ones.
Yeah.
And very rarely do you see Bail Tan, for example.
Well, that's because I don't know how much attack marine is at the moment. What, 12 points is it? 11 points?
I have no idea.
Something like 11 points attack marine. Let's just say that it is 11 points. So previously, how could you have an 11-point tactical marine, and because you liked the colour yellow, you put yellow on it, you get some kind of reroll against buildings or whatever.
Brilliant.
Right?
Because everyone takes buildings.
Whereas the next person who paints theirs green gets to make a reroll in every
nonsense
one unit. But why would you let that balance happen? Why would you let that imbalance happen? Sorry. Why would you let the same pointed model be so
different,
inferior in that
I'm
sense?
at a bit of an impasse as well, and I cannot make my mind up as to which way I swing on this. And don't worry, it's not that conversation we're having earlier.
Okay.
It's a different one.
You got to make up your mind.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I'll have to tell her. I'm at a bit of an impasse with this. Genuinely, I both love things like chapter tactics because of the variation it creates and the way they try and lean towards the narrative to create that variation. So I love that as a narrative player. I also hate it because of the reasons I've just discussed about the reasons why people create custom chapter tactics and the imbalance it creates. Yeah. And I don't know whether we were in a better place where a Space Marine from the Space Marine book was a Space Marine from the Space Marine book, or whether we're in a better place now with all these custom rules.
I can't decide either. Because,
it's hard, isn't it?
Because the narrative, the narrative side of me is saying everyone should have rules that are appealing in some way, right? So
that fits their narrative.
That fits their narrative, right? So you should be able to say, I want to paint my Space Marines green, and know that there will be things that the green Space Marines have which will let you build an army that you can play well with, right? And if you want to paint them yellow or white or whatever colour you want, that there will be something good in there. But we are at that place at the moment with the rule set and how the rules work, where there is a lot of research you have to do because how much of a
there's other things as
disparity there's going to be.
There's other things as well. Raven Wing armies used to take bikes as troops.
Yep.
Simhan used to have jet bikes as troops. And there was lots of other... They were arguably, to me, Sim Han having jet bikes as troops choices was a more narrative choice than being able to move and fire heavy weapons without penalty.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of... You see a Dark Ages army nowadays. How many armies will you see that are dual wing, Raven Wing and Death Wing? You won't, because they need the battalion in there. Because they need the command points.
Taking Basilisk, when in every single time they're written about in the fiction, they're doing massive artillery bombardments, which they can't do.
So that's, I mean, so there we go. The 40k, I think, at the moment, honestly, is possibly circling the drain into an absolute mess. Maybe cynics out there will suggest that GW do it on purpose. So when they drop kick 9th edition into our faces, we go, oh, we need this now.
It does feel like we might be coming to that
Possibly,
point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether that is the case or not. I don't know. That's, like I said, that's cynics that might say that. I'm not saying 40k is going to die. Please don't panic and think, oh no, sell all my 40k stuff. They've just announced old age Warhammer again. Let's go back to that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that there is a little bit of danger here. Again, remember what we said right at the start. Chris and I, and there's lots of people in our situation, thankfully, are very, very lucky. So if you find the right gaming group, you could basically be as lucky.
You play your 40k.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might find that you end up against a player at your local GW who does bring 3 Storm Ravens and an Iron Father and all that kind of nonsense, at which point you go, thank you very much, won't be playing you again. You've wasted one evening. All right. Not as simple for everyone, I understand that, please don't shoot me, but try and find the right people to play against. Luckily, with things like Facebook and Google and forums and Discords, our Discord's an amazing place for it. I'm going to sell it because it's our Discord. Genuinely an amazing place for it, though. I cannot tell you how many people have joined our Discord, chucked their pin on the map that exists within the Deployment Zone Discord, and then have arranged friendly games. So, and they then are lucky enough to have our experiences. And it's amazing because they can then go and play against like-minded people. They can talk about lists and stuff beforehand via Discord, etc. And people have ended up playing time and time and time again, having met via the Discord.
Yeah, knowing that both people's goal is the same.
And that's ours. Don't think it just exists in ours. It exists in all kinds of communities. So find communities, chat to people before you go and play. Try and set that up if you can. I know it's harder for some than others, so it's not the answer for everybody. But I think 40k is at real risk of being massively imbalanced for things like pickup games and tournaments. I'm going to continue doing events next year. I've got the SNGT. I think I'm going to go up into the Hellstorm 5, whichever one it is now. That Mikey kicks out a bucket load of tournaments for Hellstorm. So I'm doing those 2. We've got DZ events. I'm still going to do events. Because I still enjoy myself and go and throw for 5-6 games and enjoy hanging out with people, drinking a few beers. I still think
because
it's great
there's more to it than winning for us, right?
But I don't go to win an event.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm 1.
That's the big difference.
I'm crap. So I couldn't win it anyway. But 2, that's not my goal when I go to an event. I don't go for that reason. So
the first thing I ask is, are we going out for beers afterwards?
Yeah.
That's literally the first question. All right, you coming to this tournament? I'm saying, yeah, we going out in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay, I'm
down.
down.
I'm up for that.
I'm down.
Some pub grabbing some beers.
Sweet.
So I'd be really interested, actually, genuinely interested in the YouTube comments for you guys to let me know your experiences so far, what you think. Maybe Chris and I are way off. Maybe we are 2 just grumpy old Chaos players.
Yeah, it could be. I'd really like to engage with some people who have some opinions on
Absolutely,
this. I really want to know where, because I guess we don't even know fully where we're at.
One of the other things that's amazing from some of our older podcasts as well was when I came up with a suggestion on how to fix a rule, what was always brilliant was people would tell me underneath why, 1, mine might not work, and 2, ways in which they would fix it. There's some really interesting stuff that comes out of those as well. So please, please, please feel free to say to me, don't actually like your idea of restricting the aura to 1 unit. I would do it this way because it's really interesting stuff.
Or I don't think it's getting that bad.
And the amount of times we have those kind of comments, and I actually end up texting Chris, going, have you seen that comment? It's actually quite interesting. Genuinely is. So please drop your comments below if you do think it's bad, if you think it's getting better, if you think there's ways in which you think you could improve it, if you don't like the bloat, if you do actually like all the options, and you actually think to yourself, well, I still maintain that people don't need to use all the supplements, but they can choose to. I think that if you're playing the right group of people, that's 100% true. If I'm playing with Chris and I can go, Chris, today I don't want to use Vigilus and I don't want to use supplements, we just use basic codexes, Chris might go, yeah, sweet. If you're playing pickup games at Games Workshops or local clubs, or you go into events, not so easy to do that.
No, you can't.
You might struggle.
You're expected to not do that.
Yeah, you kind of are. People are going to... Some other people...
You will be lucky
Some other people will
sometimes.
turn up and you'll go, I don't want to play Vigilus. And you go, Well, yeah, but I do.
I built my whole thing around vigilance.
And that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'll be really interested to hear what you know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys that watch the channel, for being a little bit patient with me over the last couple of months when I just basically took a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Stuck a couple of battle reports out because I've just been tired and wrecked.
He's a tired boy.
These aren't going to become weekly again. I'm going to try and be more consistent with them. I know Chris enjoys doing these sorts of talks, so we're going to try and maybe get a couple in a month if I can. There's plans to film some across the interwebs with Winters in the new year.
Less grumpy, less grumpy ones we'll do as well.
I think it's been a good chat.
But we are.
It was a bit of a disgruntled start because I didn't have anything to talk about. I just wanted to get back in the groove. And then it turned into a really nice flow. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So I started without a topic or a title for the podcast. I think the title probably going to be Balance in 8th edition or something like that.
This has been on our minds a lot, and in our conversations, the Faith and Fury thing really sparked off a good debate amongst us, didn't it? So,
and I want to stress that I'm not saying screw Games Workshop, you're doing a terrible job, because I'd be wrong. Look at the numbers. But I think there's a risk at the moment. I think there's a slight sort of risk as to what the direction they're going with all of these releases, and I'd like to see it sort of stop to a point and be streamlined in a different way, so it doesn't feel like you're just going book constantly with one rule in that book. I think you should be able to have your codex and then a supplement for your army. One.
Now that would be good, right? That would be good. Just quickly going back, when we saw that... I
was trying to wrap it up, but Chris has still got
just
more to
really
say.
quickly going back, how many people, when you saw the Space Marine supplement list, was like, oh my gosh, they could do this for every faction. They could do this for every faction. You might have known deep down that they weren't going to do it. But, hang on, they could be like... for Tau, for example, they could have...
When the first supplements came out...
Done another Far Side.
On the live podcast, when the first supplements came out, I said to, I think it was Brom, I'm hoping they do this for every faction, so you have an Ulthway supplement, and a Simhan supplement, and a Bad Moon supplement, and etc.
And custom chapter rules. Custom... whatever.
I was really hopeful
rules,
that's what they would do.
So that you could really customise how you played again.
But I think what I think they could, if they are not going to follow the AOS model with battle tomes, this is how I would like it to go. I would like 1 times codex for your main faction with the main rules in, and then I would like 1 time supplement that includes all your supplement additional rules, including stratagems and units and stuff, paint schemes and how to paint, formations, all that, everything that's supplement to that codex in the supplement,
and have it proofread, play tested, and edited. Salamander's supplement, blue tack arm. If you haven't seen it, check out the Salamander's.
It would be better if they were proofread, GW, in a room with the lights on. Yeah. Then you might not miss a model's arm that fell off.
Literally hanging off with blue tack.
That's bad, isn't it?
In the Salamander's book, that is naughty.
Naughty Games Workshop.
Very naughty.
So yeah, we didn't have a topic. I wanted to get back in the groove. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Yeah. If you have, let us know. We're going to try and get together and do a few more because I've enjoyed it actually.
Yeah.
And I think this will be so easy to edit and put together in the next 2 to 3 days that I'm going to go, there's not so much of a strain
do
now.
A bit more. Yeah,
and we have these nonsense chats anyway, so you might as well put it on camera, right?
Film it, but it's a bit ruder when we don't have a camera on us.
Yeah. It's hard.
In fact, it's really rude.
So I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you enjoy what we do here at Warhammer, especially battle reports, don't forget to check out www.deploymentzone.tv, a custom website that's built by myself, owned by myself and Winters. Battle report on there every single Tuesday without fail since the day we launched back on the 1st of June 2017.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Is that right? 2018. 2018.
It's one of the years recently.
Yeah. Yeah, oh God. 2018, sorry.
Let him go to bed.
We're getting up. I was on nights yesterday. Yeah. We're going up to 2 years. We're not quite there yet. This year we also ran our first open day, which was a massive success, and everyone got to come and visit Element Games and hang out with me and Winters. We're running another one next year, which will be great fun. We're also running a narrative event as well, and we're looking also at putting together, believe it or not, a competitive event because we're trying to attract everybody to the channel. Yeah. Absolutely everybody.
Yeah, don't listen to the stuff we said about competitive events. And
you wait to see my rules pack. Every model costs 5 points. Come and check out Deployment Zone. There's loads of stuff on there. There's a merchandise page. We've just recently updated our iOS app, and that's now really popular, thankfully. We are currently going through the process of updating the Android app. I'm hoping within the next fortnight that will be updated as well. It will look like the new iOS one. So there's loads of stuff going on in the Deployment Zone. Go and check it out. We've got some new merchandise coming soon as well.
That's very exciting.
Very
That's
exciting.
really exciting.
So, loads of new stuff coming really soon. I hope you guys love it. If you've enjoyed this and you're not subscribed to Warhammer, please click subscribe. You can follow the channel. You can get notifications when videos come on every now and again. There's a battle report coming very soon against Chewie and his Blood Angels.
Yeah, no, that's going to be exciting.
That's good fun, yeah. He wanted Blood Angels versus Necrons, classic matchup. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to sticking that one out on the channel as well. And that's about that. Anything you want to add, Chris?
No, I mean, I've already gone off on about 40 tangents. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, he's enjoyed himself. Fed him dinner and everything.
Got me some dinner.
Sometimes we let him out the cage.
Yeah, thanks.
So huge shout out goes to all the guys who are Patreons to deploymentzone.tv. There will be a link in the video description below if you want to come and join the channel, and that's where our Discord is. Alternatively, you can also support via the website, which is www.deploymentzone.tv, as I've said, and there's a subscription service there if you want loads more videos. A point to note, both of them are separate. So one of them pays for the community, one of them pays for the videos. You don't have to have both. If you have one, you don't automatically get the other, just because people have asked that question. A massive shout out goes to Element Games, our sponsors. Those guys are legend. Especially Matt, he puts up with a lot because I've moaned at him a lot about stuff and things.
Yeah,
he's been poorly recently as well.
Oh, come on,
bless
Matt.
him.
Sorry, mate.
Bless him. So love and hugs to Matt. Love and hugs.
Kisses. Lots of kisses.
Blow him a kiss then. That was creepy as hell. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.